Hello, and welcome to this segment of TCWC code Singleness Isn't a Wilderness. Today's topic is called Waiting Patiently for Your Turn. We are all familiar with the story of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. Genesis chapter 29 tells us of how Jacob married these two sisters. And what is interesting from that story is that Jacob loved Rachel, but he did not love Leah. Verse 31 of that chapter tells us that Leah was unloved. And this seems very unfair, which is why we are going to specifically look at Leah today. The reason is, in today's world, so many young single women can probably relate to Leah in the sense that they feel like they are not beautiful enough or do not measure up, and sometimes feel like potential partners are passing them by. And the result of this feeling is that it leads to frustration. And frustration leads single women into forcing themselves onto relationships that are not approved by God, instead of waiting patiently on Him. If we look at Leah in the story, we realize that Leah had to constantly strive for Jacob's attention and validation, even when she had given Jacob so many children. It still wasn't enough. And we know this because Jacob's favorite child was Rachel's firstborn son. So, in Jacob's eyes, Leah was not enough. Rachel still took first place because Jacob from the beginning loved Rachel. My point in all of this is, firstly, it is important to wait patiently on God. When you wait patiently on God and you do not do things in your own power, God will help you have a beautiful, loving relationship. Laban, Leah's father, tricked Jacob into marrying Leah even though he was aware that Jacob loved Rachel. And because of this impatience, Leah had to be the one to suffer the repercussions of her father's decisions. The second point is, do not let inferiorities drive your relationship making decisions. You are special in the eyes of your father. Leah was always feeling inferior to Rachel because even the Bible describes Rachel as the more beautiful of the two. And I want to believe Leah had had this over and over again. And it is for that reason that she thought if she loses this opportunity to marry Jacob, maybe she would never get married. But the truth is, Leah was her own person, and she did not have to be compared to Rachel. She was beautiful in her own capacity, and she deserved the best. If you make decisions about your relationships because you feel inferior, you feel your friends are getting married, you feel other people are finding partners, it will only exhaust you. Once again, I encourage you to wait. The third point is, know that even God, who is sovereign, will still allow you to make your own decisions. And you will still experience the consequences of your decisions. Leah, who was married to Jacob, had to go through the experience of knowing that Jacob loved Rachel every single day. That was the consequence of her forced marriage onto Jacob. So, you make a decision apart from God, you will have to deal with the consequence. Yes, God loves you, and yes, He will help you, but you will still have to deal with the results of your decisions. So instead of going through this painful route, it is best to wait on God. It is best to understand that God has only beautiful things planned for you. And you can know that the singleness period is not a wilderness. It's a time for your relationship with God to grow. So I encourage you, women of God, to wait. Singleness is not a wilderness. Thank you for tuning into this episode. God bless you.